The nation's political space at the moment is a labyrinth. Navigating through requires a sensitive balancing act between the leaders and the led. The year 2021 is a mere 6 weeks away, and you do not need a sixth sense to determine that it would be crucial for the nation's socio-economic well-being. Today on Political Update, we will beam our searchlight on some sectors of the economy to gauge the low-hanging fruits, the potentials and the impediments to rapid progress. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. The Inter-Party Advisory Council says the current administration is consistency in improving the nation's electoral integrity must be supported by well-meaning Nigerians. Let's hear from Chairman of IPAC, Leonard Nzenwa.
Aligning with broader efforts to improve the electoral process and ensures that the country continues to have inclusive, peaceful, credible, free, fair, and transparent poll remains the priority of the Inter-Party Advisory Council since inauguration into office.
We need to build a culture of consistency over time. The idea of the stopgap measure, where one person will take one particular tenure without giving the benefit of trying to exercise his potentials over time, is something we need to stop. And so we have related with the umpire INEC over the last few months, and we can say very clearly that INEC that we have related with has done respectably very well. When I say respectably very well, I'm not saying the umpire has no challenges or has not made some mistakes, but we can say conclusively they have posted some good results, and the clear example of that is that of the Edo election, which was widely applauded, widely commended, and the global community was very happy for it.
While recommitting to work harmoniously with all stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, the Council enjoined Nigerian youth to be agents of positive change in the nation's quest towards improving the lot of the citizenry. A group of Nigerian women under the banner of Northern Women Peace Forum similarly condemned the violence that accompanied the recent EndSARS protest in major cities across the country, calling on the youth to find better ways of channeling their grievances.
Based on all the crises that have been going on, we are really saddened. I beg you, all these people who you are doing this, to leave it.
The women promised to ensure that the country continues to mobilize towards promoting peace for national development.
Meanwhile, the Zenith Labour Party has endorsed the renomination of Professor Mahmood Yakubu as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The party says Mahmood's renomination is a good omen for the nation's democracy.
Political analysts say the strength of a nation's democracy depends largely on the freedom and strength of its electoral institutions. From 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, the country's electoral umpire has played various roles in ensuring the sustenance of democracy.
Who do not want.
However, Zenith Labour Party believes that as Nigeria's democracy grows, so as its electoral umpire, particularly under the Buhari administration, hence the need for political parties to rally support for government's desire for electoral sanity.
If you follow the conduct of election, you cannot but agree with me that we have moved forward from what it used to be. I'm talking about the system whereby you vote, political parties and observers will start a place and be seeing the result coming. And we have been assured in the last meeting with INEC that it will improve in Anambra. I don't think there's any group that can speak authoritatively on this matter other than the critical stakeholders. And the critical stakeholders are the political parties.
He appealed to the 9th National Assembly to support President Buhari's determination of building a legacy of a vibrant electoral system and promotion of inclusive politics by ensuring the reappointment of former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu.
Now, some major ethnic youth groups under the auspices of Nigerian ethnic youth groups say Government must creatively address the economic challenges occasioned by the myriad of issues which bedeviled Nigeria and other nations in the outgoing year.
Of the present administration's economic programs is the only agenda of this youth convergence. On the whole, they described the various economic policies as a major unifier for the country, especially recalling that the last time the country went into recession, it exited in good time, and that the feat can still be achieved.
The global poverty index figures have not been as beautiful as young people in Nigeria would have wanted it to be. These indices, coupled with the combined negative impact of the COVID-19 lockdown and the end-SARS protests, which threatened the very fabrics of our national security, were the motivation for convening this two-day roundtable to analyze the role, functions, activities, and interventions of the Central Bank of Nigeria and juxtapose them with the impact on young people in Nigeria.
The groups, which include the Arewa Consultative Youth Movement, the Ohanese Ndibu Youth, the Ududua Youth Forum, South-South Youth Council, and the Middle Belt Youth Movement, urged Nigerians not to be discouraged by the reported fresh wave of economic recession in the land.
As the nation continues to seek impactful ways of reflating the economy and ensure massive job creation in different sectors of the economy, there are some products key to some sectors which have been on the increase. Premium motor spirit, PMS, which is crucial to the transport sector, and tariffs on power, which is important in the manufacturing sector, easily come to mind. Joining us today on Political Update is Honorable Musa Ada, Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Upstream. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. First of all, we looked at, looking at the past year, the country has been impacted by different things. COVID-19, we had the protests all affecting our economy. But if you had to look at the legislative year so far, from especially the House of Representatives, how would you score the House of Representatives?
Without being immodest, we have done a bit good. And this question should have been directed to the House Committee on Publicity and Media. But since it is now related to the petroleum industry, where I'm privileged to be a chairman of one of the committees, Petroleum Upstream, I can throw more light. Just before I come here now, the House debated for a second reading a bill on the petroleum industry, which has been long much awaited by the petroleum stakeholders across the globe. For the last 13 years, this bill has been submitted to the National Assembly from the 6th, 7th, 8th, and now the 9th Assembly. And by the special grace of God, by the enthusiasm and patriotism displayed in the debate I left, I'm sure it will scale the pass in the second reading, and it will be committed to the ad hoc committee on the PIB, and eventually, within 3 to 6 months, the bill would be passed by the National Assembly and sent to the President for assent. Why I said we have done good, this particular singular act is enough to transform Nigerian economy beyond imagination. Over the years, we have lost trillions of naira or billions of dollars as a result of lack of proper policy guidelines in form of regular legislation for Nigerian oil and gas industry. In the last 10 years, in the last 13 years, since when Obasanjo first introduced the PIB in 2004, all the oil majors that have brought their capital in Nigeria, I mean the IOCs, and those intending to come to Nigeria will hold their future development plan, waiting for that law to be enacted. We need to be reminded that the oil industry law in Nigeria is very obsolete. It is the Petroleum Industry Act, enacted in 1959.
Before independence?
Before independence. And it was only reviewed around 1978 during the military regime. And lastly, President Muhammadu Buhari brought a review also, a part of it, which brought in the petroleum sharing contract aspect. All that did not give the yearnings of the petroleum industry in general. It affected the performance of those that have brought their capital to invest in Nigeria, the oil investors, all the IOCs, and it discouraged the indigenous oil marketers and oil producers. And generally, it affected the oil growth in the country. For example, as of today, Nigeria is producing below 2 million barrels per day, with a population of over 200 million people. And more than 90% of our foreign exchange comes from that oil sector. And we rely heavily on it. It is the basis of our budget on every year, based on what we produce and what we sell. That is the benchmark for what is sold in the market and what is obtained. It has negatively affected our economic development yearnings. As of today, once this bill passed the second reading, I assure you, investors will start having confidence that the much awaited item has now been laid in process and it will come to the delight of the day. What it will do, it will guarantee the sanctity of the contract, of the investment terms and agreements between this nation and whoever comes to
investors, foreign investors. Okay.
Let me add this one. It will also give hope to agitators of resource control. A provision is made of taking care of host communities, whereby it will reduce the insecurity and it will also improve the environmental situation of those areas. It will also improve their economic and social activities. So, even by this act alone, even if the National Assembly have not passed any legislation within this year, this is one thing that will give greater lifeline to the Nigerian society and Nigerian nation.
All right, that's cheering news. We'll look at this holistically. In the past few months, we've seen some hikes in, at pump price and all that, and especially it has eaten deep into, expenditure of the transport companies around, especially as Nigerians like to travel across. Is there any hope that some of these prices will come down in the soonest time possible?
The hike in price of petroleum products, refined products in Nigeria. If I had known you would ask me this question, I wouldn't have come. I'm not the government spokesman. I'm a legislator who always tries to cherish what is the interest of his communities. But by and large, as a Nigerian and somebody who has been privileged to be informed of the situation of the global marketing of petroleum products, demand determines the supplies. It is just like that. Let me add this. Whenever the petroleum crude prices increases, since we don't refine in this country, those who buy to go and refine, they buy at a higher cost. So when you are going to buy the byproducts, that the refined products, PMS, kerosene and AGO, which you import to Nigeria, which is a shame to this country, then they increase that difference in what they obtain from the pricing. So you who buy as well, when you come to sell, since the subsidy regime has been removed, then it has to be subject to the market
vagaries of the market arena. Okay.
So
okay, let's move forward a little in terms of domestic competence in this sector. What should we be doing in terms of encouraging maybe domestic competence? Because this is a high engineering and mechatronics field. Are we promoting domestic competence, especially in that sector?
Yes, a lot has been done and a lot has been achieved. The PTDF has been in existence over 21 years. The sole aim of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund is to sponsor those young Nigerians who are talented and who are interested to pursue career in oil and gas industry. Any Nigerian citizen who have scored 2-1 at a university, whether local or foreign university, when he's going for his master's or for his doctorate degree in oil and gas related area, he is sponsored by the PTDF. They have criteria of selection. So that does not mean anybody who applies must be given. No. If you meet the requirements, you are given. And I believe thousands of Nigerians as of today have benefited from that program. Many of them have come back to the country. Many of them have joined the global petroleum industry in the world, working all over places that you don't imagine. Even in Russia, in America, in all the European, and in even Saudi Aramco, you find Nigerians completely placed in higher positions working there as technicians, as engineers, as petroleum business, legal practitioners or petroleum accountants.
All right, well, let's move on. Now we'll come now to some of the activities before we close shop. But let's take some reports. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has formally inaugurated the party's caretaker committee for Ebonyi State. The committee is to run the affairs of the party in the state pending a state congress within the next 90 days.
Congratulations.
Inauguration of caretaker committee to run the affairs of the People's Democratic Party in Ebonyi State. The state chapter of the executive committee of the party was dissolved following the recent defection of the state governor and leader of the party, David Umahi, to Governing All Progressives Congress. NWC enjoins members and supporters not to despair but remain committed to the ideals of the party.
Be rest assured that the NWC will continue to support you, will continue to be with you, and will continue to interact and guide you so that you can take PDP to greater heights.
On behalf of my members, in particular, and the state PDP, we assure you that we do our best.
Speakers, including former President of the Senate and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ayim Pius Ayim, restated loyalty to the PDP, promising that the party will be repositioned for better performance in future.
The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says through good governance is the best way to play politics. The former governor of Lagos State made his comments during an interactive session with journalists in Abuja.
And, you know, we have elections only once in 4 years, but we have responsibilities to provide good governance every day. Winning the election is not the challenge. It's delivering the programs that is the big deal, and that's what I am committed to do. If there is a crisis that has now led us to have a caretaker committee, we must also respect the caretaker committee. Let it do its job. Those of us who didn't contest to hold party offices, who now found ourselves here, let's focus on our job too, and stop getting in each other's way. To retain power in 2023, certainly if we keep our promises, people will vote for us. It's that simple. That's politics. If you improve people's lives, you do what you say you will do. Even if you don't do 100%, and they see that you are making progress, they would even want you to finish some of what you started. So, and our opposition has to think better than us in order to defeat us anyway. Right now, they're not doing that.
Moving on now, a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Keliani Muhammad, has expressed confidence that the current administration is capable of surmounting the nation's economic challenges.
We must diversify the economy. The Anchor Borrower scheme that came up between 2016 and 2017, want Mr. President to look into it critically. Then coupled with insecurity, something must be done so that our farmers can go to farm. Then our industries must be resuscitated. They must be revived. If they revive them, our teeming youths that are very restive today will have jobs. All these governors must help this government. No state in this country that has no certain minerals. Let them diversify so that teeming youths will get job. When we do that, we believe, as the minister said, it will not even going to take 5 years. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 years, Nigeria will be out of recession.
All right, Keliani Mohammed speaking there. We still have Honorable Musa Ada, Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Upstream here in the House. Before, we let you go, we've talked about, the committee that you chair, but looking at your constituency, in the past few months, we've had cases of flooding. What is the situation report now, and have you been able to reach out to the communities?
Yes, my community or my constituency in general has been one of those worst hit by the flood, because we have a very big dam, the Goranyo Dam, constructed about 40 years ago, and it did not been put to proper optimal use of up to 10%. So flooding is not something new to us. Since when that dam was established in 1979 until today, and like I've said, not up to 5% of its capacity has been utilized. Every year we have a recurring flood situation in every rainy season. This year became the worst because more lives were lost and more farmlands were overflooded, and we lost all our economic grains that we have planted there. And not much has been done by the government. I must admit this. We have written to the NEMA, we have written to the Humanitarian Ministry, not much has been done, because what they issued or what they distributed did not meet the demand of 1% of those that were being affected. And it was grossly mismanaged. It was handed over to people who are not supposed to have any link with that. So, and like you see what happened to the palliatives, much part of what was given was hoarded by those that were entrusted to distribute it to the victims. I, as a representative of the people who was duly elected by them, was not informed when those items was being transported. I was not informed when they were being distributed. And I was the one who read the issue on the floor of the House. I'm not saying they must give me. I don't have anything to do with that. But let them inform me. My staff, my representative, are they back home? I can link them up with them. Only for them to go and see how it is going to be done. We know the villages and communities that are affected. But
okay, just, before we let you go, we have to take this one on board as well. Do you have any special initiatives for youths in your area, since this has been a year where the youths have been agitating for more inclusiveness?
In all my 13 years in the parliament, this year is one of my fulfilling period. Something that I've been yearning to introduce. Since my first year, I introduced youth entrepreneur skill acquisition, but it has not been utilized and accepted by the youth for lack of proper understanding of the situation they are in, or they were in. But this year, I started just a pilot program. There's a center called Ametex. It is adjacent to Abuja there in Congo there. I organized with them. We selected about 100 of them. We came there. They stayed there for about 7 days. I was with them for 3 days. And they were introduced into small-scale business enterprises. They were just lectured. None of them was trained for any skill or for making soap or making detergent or anything. No, they were given good lectures to understand the concept of business and how it could be done. And funny enough, many of them, when they were asked, what do you need to start a business? They were all saying capital, capital, capital. But the expert told them no. When they listed the elements necessary for starting up a business, small scale, capital is a number 13 in the list. What you needed to know first is passion and interest. Second is determination. Third is honesty. And the Garalo government is the only local government within Sokoto State that has its own plan of 500 pilgrims per year since 25, and we are the first to always pay fast before anybody else. That shows you how vibrant our economy is.
Yes.
Let me finish. So now I'm trying to, with this, I'm trying to see how I can bring this youth to train them in the art and science of doing modern business with small business. The most important is determination, and they should be determined to accept. I will continue to sponsor them. I will bring more programs like that from my personal. I'll go and get access to that the government can give and other agencies.
All right, for the first half an hour, we've had Honorable Musa Ada, very passionate about his constituency and very knowledgeable about his sector. Thank you for being a part of Political Update today, and stick on with the Nigerian Television Authority, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.